Like to welcome everybody here on November 24th. It's 1 p.m. I may have audio difficulties and some other difficulties here, and I'll turn the chair over to Deputy Mayor Burt for this meeting.
Okay, thank you, Mayor Wilford. We will start with the land acknowledgement, followed by a moment of silent reflection. And I'll remind council to declare any pecuniary interest either now or at the time that it arises, and we don't see any, so none at the moment. And approval of agenda, council meeting agenda for November 25th, 2025 be approved as circulated or as amended. The motion circulated. Thank you, Stephanie, or Councillor Hodge-Greaves, and seconder, Councillor Moore. All in favor? Thank you. And approval of the council meeting minutes from November 10th, 2025. The minutes of the regular council meeting held on that date be adopted as presented or as amended. Looking for a motion. Councillor Walsh, seconder. Councillor Moore, all in favor? Thank you. And is there any business arising from those minutes? Nope. Okay, we'll go on to the consent agenda. So there's the correspondence for information. It goes from C1 to C7, and then from R1 to R3, and also the minutes of the special events committee held October 7th. Motion to move those. Councillor Ward, with comment on C3 and R2. C3 and R2. And seconder, Councillor Walsh.
Also with comment on C4.
And C4, and I also have one on R1 and nothing from the mayor. So go ahead, Councillor.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. This is to staff, if I may, for C3. I'll start with C3.
Yep.
So it's the Water and Wastewater Public Corporations Act from Watson's and Associates. And reading through it, I found it very complicated. It's a technical briefing from Bill 60. And I was wondering if staff could give a little bit more insight, or if at a later date, they could give more insight, because I didn't ask this question prior. So on to you, Mike.
Go ahead.
Through Deputy Mayor, I think we there is a webinar coming up. I think we're going to make sure that we have staff there and to gather some additional information. Other than that, we really haven't had a chance to dig into it too much, but we will certainly do that and come back.
Thank you for that.
And go ahead with R2.
Yes, so R2 is the fire report from Chief Daryl Payne. And I just had a question, because I do see that some of the numbers look like they're stabilized up and down a bit. But I thought this might be a good time to ask how the paging system and the new pagers are working, and if they meet the expectations that you thought they would help, with the, I guess with in conjunction with the phone app. And if you felt that that was working well.
Deputy Mayor. It's exceeding all expectations. The digital radio channel is our own, so there's been no interruptions from other departments. So it's been very, very helpful, and all the people on the fire department are very impressed also. So we're, as you said, we're expanding with the Who's Responding app, which they've upgraded also, so. We have multiple ways of being noticed or for an incident being identified. So it was a good deal to go that way.
Thank you. Good, thank you. And Councillor Walsh, C4.
Yeah, just reading through the county minutes of October 15th, and noticed that Rhonda Keenan, General Manager of Economic Development, was there and was talking about the GROW program, which stands for Growth, Resilience, Opportunity, and Workforce. And I was just wondering, Deputy Mayor Burt, if there would be an opportunity that we would look at inviting Rhonda to come down and take us through that same program. And if so, I would certainly bring that in general business.
Yeah, and I think that is her plan once we get through the budget season, is to come to the lower tiers. But I think in general, I think that's a good idea, is just direct staff to invite her formally. So that would be good. Yeah. Okay, that's everything. Okay, and Councillor Hodge-Greaves, you're good on consent? Okay, so I just had one, I wanted to bring it up, and it can be discussed under general, but if you go to R1 and our CAO's management action list, you'll see December 9th. And I think there may be something else that's going to be added there, at least one thing. And I don't know about you guys, but this is huge. It is a very big agenda, and I just know where's the county garbage and organics negotiable RFP that won't be done in 5 minutes. So I'm wondering, and it's something we can discuss in general business, if we need to take a look at this at a meeting the following week and split it up. So it's just something to think about while we're going through this, and something that we can either discuss now or in general business, and feel free to pop in as well, Mayor. It was just something I looked at, and I don't really want to have another meeting, but it might be something that we need to. And that would depend on staff too, because it is pretty big. So if anybody has any additional comments, Councillor Ward.
I think you through you, Deputy Mayor Burt, to Mike, if I may. What does staff, how does staff feel about that? Do they have any preference? Is that would be timing for staff as well?
Yeah. For you, Deputy Mayor, I haven't really talked to staff about an extra meeting, but I know that the clerk has been stressing about the meeting for quite a while. So she may be relieved by that. Happy, I mean, we'll do whatever council needs. We would have some flexibility to switch things between agendas if a staff person couldn't be available. So if it's council's wish to have another meeting to spread the workload out, we're happy to accommodate that. We'll figure that out.
I'm looking at that. I also had that thought I would support it after the week following. I'm away actually between now and then. So the week after, the 9th would be. Yes, if that works, because that is a huge.
It's a big one. So we can make a decision now, or we can wait. What's the best way to do this? In general business? Okay, well, so just don't let anybody forget that we will bring that up in general business when the time comes. So that's good. So there's nothing else in the consent agenda. So all in favor to receive the rest? Thank you, carried. So we now have a delegation, Derek Bowman and Sydney Behringer from Dayspring Conservative Mennonite Church. And if you want to come either to the podium, or you can sit at the desk, whichever you would like to, and you can address council. And just a reminder, you have 10 minutes to do your presentation, and then council can ask questions and talk to staff and yourself. So come on up.
Well, good afternoon to everyone, and kind of a privilege to be able to have this opportunity to stand before you. So there's 3 that came from our delegation. So it's Robin Ballman, he's my dad, and then we have Sydney Behringer here. And yeah, so Sydney Behringer will be doing we'll be doing the main presentation at this time. So we'll give him our attention.
All right, again, good afternoon. Pleasure to be here. Thank you for giving us this opportunity. We have a short letter here that we sent before, that I believe we got. So I'm gonna read that, and I don't have a whole lot of other comments until you have questions, so please feel free to ask questions. So the delegation that is sitting before you, as was mentioned, representing the Dayspring Conservative Mennonite Church, which is located in Center Hastings Township. Some of the Dayspring church members have decided to relocate from Center Hastings to Asphodel-Norwood Township. Dayspring Church would like to set up a church and a school facility for these members, similar to our facility in Center Hastings, which is, just so you're clear, we have a church and a school all under one roof on one property. Our interest is in building a relationship with your township, so this can be a positive experience for all of us. Proactively, we have a few questions and comments referring to the logistical process, making a church and a school facility a reality efficiently and with as few complications as possible. So we have two questions that we would like to present. First one is by referring to the zoning map, which we have looked up online. We have observed some institutional zoning in the Westwood area. Are there any public buildings or parcels of land that are zoned institutional that you as a township would suggest could be investigated for purchase as a possible church and school facility for the Dayspring Church? And number two, we have, if we purchase bare land in the Westwood vicinity with the intention of rezoning to institutional, would you suggest we pursue land presently zoned as agriculture or rural residential or some other? Just trying to gather some information. So that's all I have. Moment. Enough questions.
Okay, thank you. And I'm sure there's a few comments or questions. I'll open it up to council. Councillor Walsh.
Thank you very much, first of all, for coming. So an opportunity to have a church and a school facility in our township for sure. I'm gonna actually turn a lot of it, sorry, Ed over. Ed is our building department manager and probably can help guide us and you together. So Ed, I'm gonna kind of put you on the spot, I'm not sure, but just in terms of what do we have in locations in Westwood that you can think of? And so that would answer question number one. And number two, if they need to go buy their land, what would be the best option for them to consider?
Through you, Deputy Mayor. The institutional properties that I can think of in the Westwood area are township owned, and I'm not aware that we would be willing to sell any of our township property like the library or the fire hall or anything like that. So there's no other institutional properties that I can think of. There's a very small county piece of property. But again, it's pretty small. And I don't think that the water was good on that site. Regarding agricultural, rural or rural residential properties. Agricultural is the better soil classified land. We don't want to get rid of any agricultural land if we don't have to. Rural residential land, housing has always been short and we need housing. So again, that's not a good choice. And then rural land is the, out of those three would be probably the best pick, but again, it's farmland. If you could find a spent aggregate area, that to me would be a really nice use of an old gravel pit or something like that. Somewhere nearby, if you could purchase a small piece of that. That way, it's a win for the person selling the pit, so then they wouldn't have to refurbish it, and you would refurbish it, and you'd probably make more money or make more value for it. It should be less money to purchase that kind of land. Real estate could help you out. If you purchase land outside the settlement area, you'll have to do an official plan amendment as well as a zoning bylaw amendment. It's just, and they can run together at the same time. There is the property on the east at the center line and the third line. The southeast corner is a farm. There's a small portion of it, maybe 25 to 50 acres or so, that is inside the settlement area. And you may approach that farm owner to see if he would be willing to sell a portion of that land, and then you wouldn't have to go through the official plan amendment there. But other than that, any area will help you along the way, whether it requires an official plan amendment or not. Set up a meeting with the county of Peterborough staff and get a checklist of what's required in order to do an official plan amendment and the zoning bylaw amendment, what studies are required, that type of thing, timelines. And it all varies depending on which property it is. Some properties may require additional studies to be done. So just search out a few different properties and then we can have a conversation regarding each one of those individual properties. But to me, if you could, an old aggregate that's they've already taken the gravel out of would be a really good use of that property. I don't know what else they could do with it other than topsoil it, plant seed on it. That's generally all they ever do to the old gravel pit areas. But again, if you find any properties, just let me know. I will be happy to look into it to see what's needed. What were the numbers you were thinking of for combined church and school? Like for the people, kids?
Mayor, numbers, we'll probably be starting with very small amount, so I think it's to 8 families.
Right.
And then school children would be up to anywhere from 15 to 30 in the first 5 years.
Okay.
Right now at our home congregation, we're a little larger, we have around 40 students.
Right.
And that's considered a fairly large for our region.
Thank you, Ed. Councillor Ward, go
Yeah,
ahead.
thank you through the deputy mayor, to add, if I may ask a question. So, there are, a few churches that are in the Westwood area. Would they be already zoned institutional? Is that what their zonings are? Yeah. Just wondering about any potential partnerships there. Yeah, anyway, I just wanted to clarify that.
Okay. Yeah, go
One
ahead.
last thing.
Yep.
If you purchase a real farm property, like an agricultural property that you're going to farm, there's a thing called on-farm diversified uses. So if you purchase 100 acres or more, then you'd be able to have a 2-acre approximately size of an on-farm diversified use. That doesn't have to go through planning processes. So that's a permitted use, right? And I would help you through that. You would have to totally fence it off and do everything that you need to do, and possibly go through site plan control. But since it's the church and the school is pretty small scale, so it would be a very good fit for an on-farm diversified use. So really, welcome to Asphodel-Norwood. Purchase a farm here, and we can help you through that process very easily.
Good, thank you, Ed. And actually, oh, sorry, go ahead, Councillor Hodge.
Sorry, thank you, through you, Deputy Mayor. In terms of the families, is the intention everyone lives within the same property? Or is
Right, you are, yeah.
Does the institution is there?
just the institution would be there.
Okay.
And families will live in the surrounding.
Okay.
area, possibly in this township, possibly stretching into another township.
Okay. Okay, so it's not one facility that's housing everyone in community, it's not that, okay.
Thank you. And so yeah, that was my question for Ed. OFDUs, will that fit? And because that's what I was thinking, you know, get 100 acres or 150 acres, you have 2% that you can put into the OFDU. So that's good to know that that would qualify for that. Are there any other questions? I don't see the mayor asking. Are there any? Oh, Ed, go ahead.
Only in Asphodel-Norwood.
Yeah. Should we get him to sign something now? Yeah.
You can shop around at the other townships as well, but none of them will be as good as us.
Actually, I was going to say, and I wear another hat outside of here and where we deal with a number of different townships on permits and that sort of thing. And from the construction world, honestly, and I'm not just saying it because I sit in this chair right now, Asphodel-Norwood Building Department is so good to deal with. They will walk you through everything, answer your questions. And to me, that's your next stop from here is to visit Ed and Shannon in the building department and sit down. And like he says, he can give you the checklist of what you need. And yeah, you will be happy with the job that they do. And like I say, I'm not just saying this from this seat, it is true. So I just wanted to let you know. And so, yeah, certainly on behalf of council, welcome to Asphodel-Norwood and looking forward to see what happens as we proceed. Yes, go ahead.
To you, Mayor. Thank you, Ed. That was very much appreciated and very helpful information. It's a real pleasure to be able to meet face to face. And we certainly will meet again. So you're in the building department. Oh, that's your card. Even better. That is very helpful information and just the fact that you brought that up, that information about on-farm diversified use is very great interest to us. And the fact that it's you mentioned 2%.
Yeah, it's 2% is generally.
Helpful information. So we have lots of info.
Okay, thank you. Do you have any other questions for us or?
Does it have to be 100 acres or more? Or you mentioned 100 acres?
Ed.
Oh, it can be less, but you're maxed out at 8%. For the diversified, on-farm diversified use.
Okay.
The permits are generally on sale between now and.
That's very special.
Okay, well, thank you very much for coming. We're continuing on with our meeting. You don't have to stay for the meeting. You can pack up and leave, so thank you.
Listen in for a little.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay. So we will go on to staff and committee reports. R4, Seamus.
Thank you, through you, Deputy Mayor. So R4 today is revised fitness center membership fees. So recommendation that the council of the township of Asphodel-Norwood receives this report regarding the revised fitness center membership fees for information. And further that the council of the township of Asphodel-Norwood selects option 3% increase rounded to the nearest dollar for membership fees except effective January 1st, 2026. So at the November 10th council meeting, staff were directed to revise the proposed rates and include a 3% membership fee. So included in this is the three options. So option 1 was keeping them the same. Option 2 is 3% increase rounded to the nearest quarter. And option 3 is 3% rounded to the nearest dollar. Financial implications: if membership fees increase, there could be an increase in the fitness center 2026 revenue. Staff are also concerned that this could lead to a potential decrease in numbers, resulting in the revenue potentially decreasing. So on this, in option 3, what we did is we chose anything 50 cents or a quarter rounded down. It was 75 cents rounded up. So in conclusion, after reviewing the revised 3% increase, staff recommend option 3, which is rounding it to the nearest dollar. And this would be effective January 1st. Staff believe that rounding memberships to the nearest dollar will make it the process easier for both members and staff. Staff won't have to constantly be going to the bank to be picking up more quarters. Plus, as well as there's a less likely of a user error on their end or staff's end. And staff will work diligently to complete any directions should council choose to select either option 1 or 2. At this time, if you have any questions.
Okay, thank you, Seamus. Any questions for Seamus? Councillor Walsh?
And you may have brought this up, Seamus, in the last one, I apologize. What is the most popular format that people buy now? Daily, monthly, quarterly, semi?
So the most popular is monthly, and the most popular choice is adult. So adult monthly they're both over 50%. So adult's your most popular type of member, and your monthly is by far most popular.
Okay, so in that case, looking at this, a monthly would move from $40 to $41.
Correct.
Okay, thank you very much.
Yes, Councillor Hoare.
Thank you through you, Deputy Mayor. Seamus, thanks again for the report and bringing it together. I was just wondering, because you've had numbers before, how many members do you have? And I don't mean daily members, how many monthly memberships do you have? Do you know that off the top of your head?
Through you, Deputy Mayor, so I can go back and find it out. We keep track, so each week in the weekly update. We keep track, so we have it broken down, so we can definitely provide a breakdown of.
Sometimes I find that a little bit confusing, like it's almost like daily users. I was just wondering, how many memberships have you sold? Like a monthly membership, what is the total? If you have an average.
Yeah, we'll get you that, and then also, well, one interesting thing is so far in 2025, we've yet to have any weeks where we haven't had a first timer. So the positive note is we're still getting first timers. The last 2 weeks too, have kind of saw another increase.
Yeah.
Good.
So I'll for sure after this meeting send you, because we have a breakdown of how many, but also the type of how many first timers.
It's at 248 year to date, because I noticed that one.
Monthly?
No,
New members
that's
this
new
year.
members.
248,
Yeah.
The total membership sold in 2025 should be getting close to 800.
Okay.
But I'll for sure send you, I'll include it in a weekly update if you.
Yeah, I know, I saw the number of the 258, and I was just curious about the total number. So thank you, Seamus.
Any other questions? Okay, so the recommendation is that the Council Township of Asphodel-Norwood receives the report regarding revised fitness center membership fees, and further that the Council of the Township of Asphodel-Norwood selects option 3, a 3% increase rounded to the nearest dollar for membership fees effective January 1st. Do I have a mover for that? Yeah. Councillor Walsh and a seconder, Councillor Hodge-Greaves, all in favor? That is carried. Thank you very much, Seamus.
Thank you.
Our next report is R5, Jordan Webb, our treasurer, with the third quarter financial variance. Go ahead, Jordan.
Thank you through you, Deputy Mayor. So this is the third quarter financial variance report for information. Quarterly, I provide council with a summary detailing how the corporation is operating compared to the municipal budget. You're familiar with this from obviously the second quarter report, but in summary, the township is in a sustainable financial position following the third quarter of operations. We've had some challenges this year that we've talked about previously, mostly in the same situation we were in after the second quarter. But I'll just quickly touch on some of these items. So significant impacts to the 2025 budget so far include the ice storm. So to date, approximately 99,000 in unbudgeted ice storm related costs has impacted the administration budget and salaries and wages budgets for multiple departments. Also to note, I know it's a long time ago, January, February, March 2025 was difficult time weather-wise. So we had significant OT, especially in the transportation department for that. It's not reflected in the percentages you see in the third quarter variance report because we haven't experienced the capital spending yet in that department. So I just wanted to highlight that. We have a reduction in the bank interest revenue, which we've talked about through the 2026 draft budget process. We have the new medical center costs to note here. We still have a remaining financial contribution that we're expected to get in the fourth quarter. So that would be another $20,000 in revenue that will help offset some of the cost to date. Capital spending, specifically spending for Wellington Albine Street cost sharing project, is expected in the fourth quarter. we've received the invoices from the contractors and expect to have them processed shortly. The County Road 40 project will be completed in 2026, which I'm sure we're all aware of. Also to note, the revenue shortfall in the cemetery budget, as we discussed in the 2026 draft budget process, is mostly attributed to uncertainty of burials and plot sales. And again, we've tried to right size those estimates for 2026. So again, nothing, no significant or major change from the last quarterly update, but if you have any questions, I'll do my best to answer them.
Okay, thank you, Jordan. Any questions from council for the variance report? No, fairly straightforward. Okay. So the recommendation is that council of the Township of Asphodel-Norwood receives a report regarding the 2025 third quarter financial variance for information. And can I have a mover? Councilor Roar, seconder, Councilor Hodge-Greaves, all in favor? Thank you. And you're still there, Jordan. Third draft, municipal operating capital budget. If you can go ahead and do your report, and then we'll go through and ask our questions based on your report, so.
Sure, thank you, through you, Deputy Mayor. So this is the third draft of the 2026 budget. So the intention today, after budget discussion, is for council to direct staff to prepare a notice of intention to adopt the 2026 municipal operating capital budget, as well as the water, wastewater, and Trent View water distribution budgets. Staff are hoping council will confirm the preferred tax rate and approve any proposed rate adjustments for the water and wastewater budgets. As you're aware, the second draft was presented at the November 10th, 2025 council meeting. During the presentation, council provided feedback and requested revisions and updates. The third draft budget sees a minor reduction in the tax requirement from the second draft. $1,275, which isn't a lot. But I'll quickly touch on a few of the items and a few of the changes that we had from the second draft budget. So we removed $1,500 from the trees budget, parks trees budget. Sorry, that's my slide here. There's been a slight reduction in the budget for the parks hanging baskets. We've increased the transportation materials trees budget by $3,000 for fragmites control. Just put it in there because that was the closest thing to trees. So there's no real cover your ears, Mike. That's where it's sitting for now. So if you're wondering why that's the particular line that we have it in, that's the reason. We've reduced facility security expense and fire security expense account lines by $614 total as a shared expenses at one of the facilities. We have updated police services board costing for 2026. It's also resulted in about an $1,800 decrease from the amount we had budgeted in the second draft budget. The next two here are kind of, I guess, my guess would be discussion points for today. So there's a revised recreation capital plan. There's no change in the dollar value that was presented in the second draft budget. But the items purchased in 2026 or intended to be purchased in 2026 and then transfer to reserves for items to be purchased in future years have changed slightly. So the splash pad pump remains in from the second draft. The dehumidifier is also in for 2026 in this draft. There's a $50,000 transfer to reserves for the arena roof. There's an $83,000 transfer to reserves for compressor purchases to be completed in 2027. And then there's also the $10,000 transfer to reserve for future community center projects and repairs. There's also been a revision to the transportation capital plan. Quickly touch on. So as you saw in the report, we just wanted to highlight the funds that are coming from our current gas tax reserve, as well as the gas tax allocation that we're expecting in 2026. So it's not always as simple as we remove this item and we're going to take $50,000 straight from the budget, depending on how we've allocated money from our reserves to help pay for that option. So we just wanted to make you aware of that. Jeff was able to do a lot of work recently to get us a lot of this information, and we appreciate it. The maximum gravel from the township pit is 20 tons. 20,000. And the revised plan includes continuing with the 8th line, the 7th line, with use of purchase gravel with funding from the pothole repair funding that we had discussed previously. So that's $38,000 we're anticipating in 2026, as well as reallocating $40,000 from the transportation capital sidewalk budget and moving that to the materials and gravel resurfacing operating budget. In the report, there's a list of roads to be re-gravel. The total is roughly 33 kilometers. I won't touch on each one of those. If you have any questions about them, you can direct them to Jeff, and hopefully he can provide a better response than I can. Also in the report, there are a number of other updates, or the best that staff could come up with given the timeline on some of the other items. Again, I don't think I need to go through each of the items individually here. They were in the report, and if you have any questions, I'm happy to do my best to answer them. So keeping this or taking all these changes into account, it has changed the current requirement percentages as we presented. Obviously, you're aware we presented the current requirement of what we feel is needed in year. We have 1 to 2 year future planning requirements and 3 to 5 year requirements. So given this current draft budget, there's a 4.32% increase at the current requirement level, which correlates to $6.58 per month increase to a residential property with an assessment of $227,000. For the 1 to 2 year requirements, that percentage jumps to 8.8%, which is $13.40 per month as well. The 3.5 year requirements is 11.18%, which correlates to a $17.03 per month increase. As was discussed at the last meeting, staff were also asked to come up with a scenario to reach approximately 7.9% tax increase. So that was presented in the report. 7.95% increase in the municipal tax rate correlates to $12.11 per month. Increase to a residential property with an assessment of $227,000. What's changed from what you saw in the third draft to the 7.9%, I'll touch on each of the items. So we removed $10,000 transfer to reserves for the asset management plan, which was in the 3 to 5 year planning. We've also removed $5,000 transfer to reserves for the parks plan from 2027 to 2031. We've removed $10,000 transfer to reserves for the community center future projects and repairs. We've reduced the transfer to reserves for the future fire tanker purchase or replacement by $42,500. We've also reduced the transfer to reserves for the transportation department tandem truck replacement by $35,000, which leaves us about $55,000 that we need to further reduce in order to get to that 7.9% tax increase. So the report did include some potential options, which included further decreasing the transfer to reserves for the future purchases of the fire tanker, the tandem truck, the arena roof, deferring the purchase of the dehumidifier for the community center. And as always, we're willing to consider any additional recommendations provided by council.
Okay.
Anyone wants to start?
Yeah, so thank you, Jordan. I'm just wondering if we just go back, we'll just go through the lines quickly. It shouldn't take long other than the pieces we want to speak about, but I just want to make sure we don't miss anything. So just the revisions and updates from the second draft to the third draft. Decrease park trees budget to 1,500. Everybody fine with that? Check mark. Hanging baskets budget by 318. Councillor Moore.
Thank you for you, Deputy Mayor. Okay, so I would know I was zooming in the last time, so it was difficult to hear some things. But I thought the discussion centered around perhaps removing the hanging baskets on Highway 7 because of the work that was being done. So that would eliminate, the watering and the baskets on Highway 7. Do we only have $318 worth of baskets on Highway 7? It just seemed like a low amount. Like how many baskets are there and what's the cost? Like, I look back of, the full number, and I thought the 318 wasn't a realistic number for the baskets, but I could be out to lunch on that one.
Okay, go ahead, James.
Through Deputy Mayor, so in draft 2, there was already we removed 20.
Okay.
And now we're gonna be reducing 4 more, so the plan would be, we checked with the manager of water. We're keeping some on the east side of the lights on Highway 7, and then when construction gets to there, we'll relocate them to the west. So this is we already considered this would be pretty much minimizing Highway 7 for all of 2026 due to construction with moving, because the timeline is, staff feel that there is still part of summer that if we move them from the east side to the west side, it could still be used instead of having none of them on Highway 7 for all of 2026. But from draft 1 till now, we have removed 24 baskets.
So just
Go
to
ahead.
follow up on that, if I may,
Mhm.
Deputy Mayor Burt. So, but if there's construction going on and then you have to move the baskets, isn't that, I just think of the damage that will be done by the dust and the dirt on Highway 7 and the construction, yes, I love the hanging baskets, but is it even worth having them this year? Given that you're gonna have to move them twice. And that the wear and tear from Highway 7 is going to decimate those baskets in the first place. I'm just purely from a budget perspective, I just don't know if they need to be on Highway 7 this year.
Good point. Any other comments on that?
I don't think they'll
So just
survive.
Fair, yeah.
Like anybody that's a gardener, so.
Yeah, it is a good point, for this year, and it's this year only. Because I think you're probably right, the dust and wear and tear may kind of damage them and beyond repair by the time they do get moved. Yep. Yeah.
Yeah, gentlemen. Seamus, if we, to your point, eliminated Highway 7 and only placed baskets on 45 and wherever else, what would that, how many baskets would that, sorry to put you on the spot, but how many baskets would that roughly be that we would still have?
Through you, Deputy Mayor, I can get the exact number after this, but in the last round, when we removed 20, I think there would have been still around 10. So I can get you the for sure number after, on if we remove completely from the western point on Highway 7, both the north and south side, all the way to the east. I can get you that exact number.
Just to your point, doesn't make sense to put them on Highway 7 with all the construction that's gonna happen there. And just eliminate Highway 7, but keep them on 45 and whatever other locations we are. What could that net out to?
Well, basically, we'd be saving. Oh, yeah, I'm not sure what we'd be saving. Well, if council wants to eliminate baskets on Highway 7 and just keep what is allocated, we would need a motion for that, I believe, so. If somebody wants to make a motion, go ahead.
I would make the motion that for 2026 that we eliminate the hanging baskets on Highway 7 due to construction.
And do we have a seconder?
I will.
Okay, a seconder by Councilor Walsh. Any other comments on it? All in favor? And that's passed. You can reduce the number of baskets, Seamus, for this year. Okay, transportation materials, trees / fragmites control. Comments, questions on that? Councilor Ward?
Thank you, for you, Deputy Mayor. Bert, I did see the presentation via Zoom the last time. I'm just wondering again, if this year that we reduce that $3,000, send out information to the homeowners first that, they're, what do you call it, property owners that have Phragmites problem, there's, something that they can, look into for money. And that staff monitors the problem this year, and that we, because it's open for 3 years, is my understanding, that we, monitor the problem this year, and then in 2027, revisit Phragmites control and Asphodel-Norwood.
And go ahead, Councilor Hudspeth.
I feel it's very important that we support the Phragmites control, because the presentation is very much looking for leadership, collective action. And sometimes, I mean, so it might not be $3,000, because what we weren't entirely sure if we even wanted to be spraying, but I feel it's still important that we are part of the solution, not just saying to landowners, clean up your mess, we're not going to do ours. So I think I agree that there needs to be, we need to take some leadership on it, maybe not the budget, as Councilor War said, education around it, but I feel there needs to be commitment tied to something is what I would agree with, but we need to have a commitment that we will do this, that we take this seriously, that we will, and sometimes money makes you do that, so I'm not sure, and if Jeff, he seems, where the Phragmites are, and work with someone to tell landowners, that would be perhaps that, I don't know, I just feel we need to take some ownership of it ourselves before we ask our property owners to do the same, so. Yeah.
Oh, do you wanna go ahead, or who would like to go first? You know what, Councilor Walsh, you go.
Sure. I guess the question becomes, realistically, is $3,000 a drop in the bucket in relation to this problem, or would that give us a start? And to your point, Councilor Hutchby, to show some leadership that we're willing to invest in as well. I think the other part to it is, as Councilor War said, education is key, and we can do all we can, but we also need landowners to buy in and get on board as well.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I think through that, Mayor, I think how I would see it, I think the best way for us is excavation. We have very small areas of our own property for it, and so I mean, I would see probably tipping fee where the proper way was supposed to be a fence for, so we would, we would actually have our own forces, but we have to get rid of our property. So there would be a cost for tipping fees. But again, Councilor Hodgkins is probably correct. If we're gonna educate people, we probably should be doing stuff. I think Ed lives this every day with cleaning clear with our own properties. Puts on people that clean up their own properties, they can make sure that our own grasses are cut in and whatnot. So I think there's merit to that. So a long way around, I guess there would be some tipping fees to this whole side of property, and they said would be a big start.
And Jeff, just a question. So if you'd be digging these out, would that be just part of a normal ditching cycle, or would you target those areas? Because I'm just wondering, in the grand scheme of things, when you're doing all your other work, what does that look like in your life?
Through your deputy mayor, I think it would be a specific timeline. Maybe, we hit some of the bigger spots specifically, because you don't want to cross contaminate, you don't want to risk spreading it around or dumping it somewhere else and causing more problems. So it probably would be very specific.
Okay. And a timeline, you'd want to hit it certainly before now when the seed heads come, right? Like you'd want to do that earlier before they fluff out as such, right?
Yeah. They're very unique when they start to build the spears, whether the ground is very easy to identify at that point. Even more so when they're bulky tall, but
yeah.
But no, when the grasses are low, they're one of the first things that pop up, so that would be a good time probably. And sure.
Okay, and from a timeline, do you have time? That, I guess, is my main question. When you look at the list down below,
Yeah.
I'm just thinking of the timeline. Like, do you have time in 2026?
I know the challenge.
Okay.
No, again, through your deputy mayor, I think, yeah, small bites, we do what we can for $3,000 if that's what we do, and with some education there as well. I mean, it's something that the operating budget, could probably handle as well, just in signage and what we did in Northwood, we posted signage at patches
Okay.
along the roadside, so people were aware of what it is and the information about just a small sign, we've seen everywhere. So I mean, something as little as that is a pretty effective way, and just so people are identified, it is a pretty grass, but it's also has.
Yeah, and I think to Councillor Wars, I think education is a big thing to landowners, because I don't know, we're landowners and I didn't know about this program until they came to county and then came here. So I think we, you know, from the office standpoint, that information needs to get out as well. Go ahead.
Thank you for you. Just a follow-up question, because how many, okay, so we do have, like, I know you were talked about the S bands on Central Line, there's a few other spots, but if we take, you know, control and dig them out, because obviously you're talking about not spraying, you're digging them out. But then the landowner that's adjacent to that isn't doing anything. You know, because
Yeah.
you've said that that's a problem too, because I think that's what you were saying, that, yeah, we have a small portion and that goes on somebody's individual property adjacent to it. How do you identify that and how are you gonna fix it the next year? You're not fixing it because it's still there. Sorry, I don't mean to be.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But I just, if I can,
Yeah.
at least to show, to your point, I think that if this starts to show some leadership at our end versus just putting everything on the landowner and saying, you need to fix this. Well, we have some too. We're gonna start and we hope that with us kind of starting a partnership that landowners will, hopefully, not everybody will, obviously realize that, but hopefully some will jump on it.
And if we don't do it, the economic costs in the future are going to be significantly more than $3,000. If it gets into water treatment, if it gets into our wetlands, that's what the presentation was saying too. This is a problem it's an issue. It could be huge and it could cost money, not just our natural species in the future. So I think, you know, the presenter said it's an urgent, but it's important, but it's never been urgent, but it has to become urgent, or we're gonna be all shocked when our wastewater treatment plant doesn't work anymore because Greg Midas has taken it over. So I think that's a doomsday view, but that's what happens if we don't take small steps now and yeah, and if the landowners see the work being done, then they understand how it can be done as well, so. I feel we need some kind of budget line to support the removal of it.
Go ahead, Jeff.
Three different, I'm more than happy to follow up with landowners like one-on-one, and then talk the education if we see it, and that's and cost effective, and just have a conversation about what it is and that's. Yeah, as we see it, and that's personable, sometimes better than something in the mailbox and this. So, you know,
And I've noted, like, there doesn't seem to be a lot on our township roads. I've kind of kept an eye on it since the presentation. There's a lot on the county roads. You know, as you drive around, you do notice it. And by the sounds of it, it will be handled very differently at the county because it will be spray and then they're going to be back. There's going to be a lot of backlash there. So I think in a way, we're opening a can of worms somewhat. I think we're gonna see some pushback because it will be more than likely a spray situation throughout the county. But anyhow, we'll see. So on that, I think we've had lots of conversation. I don't see the mayor coming in. Where are we going with this? Is there any motion? Is it left in? Leaving it? Okay. Security expense, I don't think that's reduced. That's good. Reduced police services board. We've seen the presentation in our package. Revised recreation plan. Is there any comments, concerns around number 6? Yeah, go ahead.
For you, Deputy Mayor, just one clear. Seamus, on that, just getting humidifier, that is one or both of them?
Yes, I am. Three deputy mayor, that's one.
That's one.
So go ahead, Councillor Ward.
thank you through you. So right now, there's a transfer of reserves of $50,000. we still, has there been any reports back on the costs that it has cost other municipalities to do a roof? Because you were gonna look into, the costing of what the roofs were in other municipalities for their facilities. Like, it's great that we're putting money aside, but do we have any end goal of, exactly what it will cost in the future? We have now a cost for the compressors, which was shocking, and I was just wondering if we had any, estimates on that. I would like to see something come forward, perhaps at a later date, to know exactly what we'd be dealing with if it was a full roof replacement.
So through you, Deputy Mayor, we've heard back from Havelock, they just recently did one. They're working on getting us like the tender package and that. Cause I believe they said they had someone come in 2018. They did apply for a grant.
Yeah.
So we'll definitely be passing that forward once we've heard from them, total value. And then maybe that's where we also reach out to that person to step one, how much does it cost them physically come out here and look at it? We did have another, roofer that did look at it, and they feel what we did here at the Millennium Room is gonna be the same thing they need to do is fill between the ribs and cover over, not fully replace. On that too, the one thing we'll have to keep in mind is when the time comes, we'll also have to reach out to like solar panels to find out what we put back on, make sure it's able for them to be secured to it. So we don't do the work and then all of a sudden go back and be like, well, now we gotta go do the job again because solar panels can't be fastened.
Okay, thank you, Seamus. So any other comments around number 6? 7, Jeff, you're on. I would assume there's a few questions if you have any comments before we start on the report.
I think, I can segue into it. I guess we tried to take a more of an approach to stretch both sides a little bit farther with including some line and some access panel as well. So I did, I wasn't 100% sure that at our last meeting, but I had a suspicion our Class B license only has a maximum tonnage that we can support annually, and it is 20,000 tons on a Class B. And talking with our consultant, he's like, don't waste your time with them and are asking for an extension or anything, you just won't get it. He said it's not worth reclassifying to move to a Class A, so it's not worth the value. So we had proposed, I think, 14,000 ton to do the east end originally. So we increased the budget with 6,000 tons. The 6,000 tons max out our licensing. But then that kind of changed how we would look at the capital with our idea there. So the quadruple funding was good timing. It looks like purchasing gravel for that project with the use of the 38,000. So I mean, with both capital projects, I had included aggregate at what it costs for us to produce. So we just needed to top up the aggregate line on the estimate on both of those projects, which I think it was $39,000 to top it up, and the funding is for 38,000. So it's a very great place to be able to get a server. So just looking at that, again, we discussed sidewalks. We trimmed the sidewalk plan in half this year anyways. I think the plan is the line of $80,000 and we shot that down to $40,000. Discussing with the CAO and treasurer, sometimes with these plans, it's easier just to mix the whole line as opposed to offsetting. If you cut it in half and then you've got this other half floating around that you're trying to put in somewhere else, or sometimes it's just as easy to remove the whole year and move it. Both proposals in the sidewalk plan, they both currently have sidewalks, they're just narrower than like the OPS standard. They're 1.2 meters, but they're existing. So it's not like we built something new substandard. They were put back in the way. An OPS sidewalk is 1.5 meters. I think the ones that we were going to replace were 1.2, just a little narrower for the equipment. But anyways, their sidewalks are currently and they're in good shape. They're not still transfer hazards. So we just decided to maybe revisit the sidewalks and remove the year completely, and then put back $40,000 in the sidewalks reallocated to the capital funds for the surface treatment, and again to try to move forward with full surface treatment projects, but also move forward with gravel. So I took a focus on some of our roads, the biggest complaints from, and try to get a course of gravel on those. And, again, I think I've explained it before, my gravel pumps, it's a desktop exercise, so it just depends where the time is on. Every truck goes 2 meters farther than what I anticipated, that all adds up, and we can potentially go farther, and we will go farther. If the budget allows, it's easy to control. So yeah, and typically the quantities, we can't always go through them. So potentially what you see there, and we could add more. So I'm happy to get the questions on that.
Okay, thank you, Jeff. Any questions? Go ahead, Councilor.
This is your debt number. So just two, Jeff, one is around, so just so I understand this, that grant for the pothole repair, that would allow us to take that money and actually purchase gravel that would be over and above the 20,000 ton that we would have already used for some. Okay, well, that's good.
And I'll just add to that.
Yeah.
And through that, I think that purchase gravel as well, I would look at a limestone product, just kind of, we have a pit run, at the Esker, if we're purchasing gravel, I think a limestone product, which that would allow us to work, will give you a little more of a backbone base, just to be sure that it's not gonna, so in the first year, so I think, it's not a bad thing.
You know, would that be only on the 7th, or would you use that limestone base on both 7th?
Limestone base for both.
Okay. And I just have a follow-up question.
Yep, go ahead.
Just around the sidewalks, totally aligned to this. I guess the question becomes, were there any sidewalks that are like, oh my gosh, we're pulling them out. We're gonna hear a lot about concerns that you've killed the sidewalks for 2026. I'm aligned because I think 7th and 8th, and we've all heard the gravel and roads is helping. There's been lots of concerns from residents about that. So I guess I just, now I'm coming back with residents in town, they'll be concerned about what about my sidewalks, right?
Through that, Mayor, I don't think so. There's never been anything like generated from the sidewalk, and it was just trying to be proactive.
Yeah. Okay.
So I think, we will do some potential sidewalk work, next year with spot replacements, and, spot replacements are easier for us, and we're gonna try to do some in-house. One of our guys is actually experienced, with the city and doing some sidewalk work. And it's easy to do in-house, just for spot replacement, so we might have on that next year, so you will see some sidewalk, it's not very long stretches.
Yeah, awesome, thanks.
Good, thank you. Any other questions for Jeff? No, okay, and then we've got 8, and I'm not really gonna go through them, but from 8A to 8K, if anybody has anything on any one of those items, if you wanna ask questions or anything of staff, please, let me know. Councilor Ward?
Thank you through you, Mayor. Just a couple of questions on A and B, actually. So, the heat pump and the AC option for the Cultural Heritage Society building, waiting for a quote. Does that furnace, it cannot go through another year? It has to be done this year? Is there any way of delaying that? And the second one were the fans and heat pump for the ANC lobby. Had that been taken off for the, so it's gonna be a ceiling fan in the lobby instead of an AC unit? Is that what was decided, or do you need direction on both of those?
So through your, Deputy Mayor, so regarding, here, we're still waiting for a quote on the ceiling fan, but we think we can go more portable fans that can be reused after the fact. Ceiling fan, when we kind of waited for the quote, the contractor kind of was like, you know, I can quote it, but, so there we're more thinking of a more efficient resource would be just buying a couple plug-in fans that can be relocated so that maybe one area in the lobby is hotter than the other, they can be moved. But what we don't want to do is, we don't want to go and spend money on a more permanent thing, and then when the time comes that if the lobby unit or another replacement's done, they'll be, well, we just spent 10 grand on these fans and now they're obsolete. Regarding the Historical Society, we're still waiting to quote, but we can for sure reach back out and find out to the person that services them on the, when we get another year. I know that building does have 2, so we did propose doing the Historical Society this year, and then the fire hall would look to be done on another year, but we can for sure follow up with them to say, and it make it another year. I know when we did ask them, they also advised us that we don't want to, if the tank's half full, we don't want to just get rid of it. So they did say one thing is you could maybe wait till the oil tank is almost empty, so you're not again using a wasted space, or I think they did say Public Works might be able to use it. So we for sure will follow up with them to see, can the furnace make it another year, and we'll follow up about the fire one too, so that you're aware that both can, maybe only one can.
Okay. Anything further? Oh, go ahead.
Actually, if I could just add one thing that we did reduce the operating cost because we were switching from a remote furnace to that. So we would have, it's not a big number, I think it was $1,500, but I think we did reduce the operating cost because we were replacing the furnace. So if we save one, we might have to add the other.
Right, yeah.
1,000.
Thank you, Mike. And I just have a comment, like, the fans or heat pump for the lobby and your office. Certainly they have those windowless plug-in air conditioners too, which apparently work very well and they're movable. And I do like the idea of moving like a fan, because then like, we've probably all been at an event, a wedding on the ice surface in the summer, and it can get hot, and having something that you can move, I think is a good idea. Does anybody have any other comments on from C to K? Any questions or comments there? Cindy and Pat. I do just have a comment on J, the lab opportunity for the new medical center. I was at a lab in Peterborough last week, and it is always packed. It's a Life Labs. And anytime I've gone in there, the staff said, "Oh man, we need another lab. We need another lab." So, you know, we could get one here, even if it was a couple days a week. I think that'd be great. So I think that needs to, you know, certainly staying reviewed. And then when we look at that table, basically we didn't really do anything other than taking a few of those baskets off and whatever that would amount to. And then we've got this is where it gets interesting, is our options. If council wishes the 7.9% tax rate, the other, they're there, and we've seen it. It's just under on that first page or second page, I guess, of our, or I don't know what page. No. Anyway, on the page, you have the financial implications. The current requirements, 4.32, 1 to 2 year requirements, 8.8, 3 to 5, 11.18. And then you see on the next page, 7.95% increase. And I guess that's where the discussion lands now. So is there anything, any questions of staff, and where is it we want to be? Pat doesn't have his hand up yet. So I think we need to go.
I'll read three different number. If I look at the 7.9% tax increase, which we kind of sent back to Jordan staff to look at. I guess my concern there is we're starting to pull a lot of reserves, which if you pull them this year, at some point they're going to catch up to us. If we keep pulling reserves back and keep pulling reserves back. So honestly, between 7.9 and 8.8, I know it's more money out of people's pockets, but it allows us to start building some reserves for projects down the road that we all know a rainy day is going to happen, and we're going to need funding to support these projects. And I am more inclined to live with the 8.8 versus the 7.9. I know it's 1 percentage point versus another, but if we keep pulling back reserves, I just keep worried that we're gonna empty the reserve budgets, and at some point you're gonna have a big catch-up year where we're gonna have to build those reserves back up. And I'm not sure whether that's the direction that I would like to see us go.
Okay, thank you.
I think the only other comment, sorry if I can't, just one
Yeah,
more
go
comment.
ahead.
This is actually going back to the list, that where we are, and this kind of goes up to all of the borough managers. We talked a lot about last year about efficiencies, and I thank you very much for bringing efficiencies forward, because we've seen them this year in through their quarterly reports, which is awesome. And I guess my message to you is keep looking for those. We need those. And the other one is K, shared costing of other municipalities. If there are opportunities, we can no longer be in our own little silo. We have to look outside our own boundaries. And if there are areas that you think you can come forward with an idea that we could share the purchase on something or the service on something, please do. I think we ultimately need them because we can't live in our own little silos. Things have just became so very expensive. You know, Jeff, we look at that grader, to buy that grader is ridiculously expensive. And I would have pushed if we were gonna buy it, we'll see who else maybe needs a grader that we could, any place where we can share costs. Share resources. I think we need to continue to look that we can't live in our own little empire. We need to find ways to work together and, because otherwise, you know, as we all know, the cost of everything just keeps going more up and up over here, so. I send that out to the whole group.
Thank you, Councilor Walsh. And on that note, that was part of the AOR's presentation or the information, and there was a section on, you know, sharing resources, which I don't remember ever seeing that before. So it's not unique to us. Mayor Wilford, go ahead.
If I can get this through with the audio. It was hard hearing some of the comments on my end, but kudos to Councillor Walsh. If all you're doing is stopping the inevitable. If you don't go with the 8.8, your next councils, I'm guaranteeing you that your tax rate is going to be a lot higher than 8.8 ever thought of being. At least this is a starting point, and maybe we can find the savings. And yes, we have to do it with the other municipalities. And yes, our managers have to find ways of doing savings to help us out also. Just that point.
Okay, thank you, Mayor. And so there anything? No?
I think that, thank you through
Yep.
you. Yeah, I think there's looking at the requirements and, you know, just going through things, can we cut that? And we end up saving $1,500. It's kind of depressing, you know, if you just go.
It is.
Yeah. Yeah. I love it.
You sit back and you go, I'm defeated. But I think that we do have to look at the cost of residential and business owners, and that we have to be cognizant of the fact that they pay taxes and it's becoming increasingly expensive to run households as well. And so again, I echo what Councillor Walsh says, and I agree with the challenge to the managers. If we can reduce costs, and just because it's in the budget doesn't mean you have to spend it. If there's no, I know that's a hard thing. Oh, I've got this pot of money. But if we can
go outside and identify both bags, that's fine. But the reason we do this.
Pat, you're on. Take your audio off, please. Okay,
so just to continue on that, I agree. It's the 1 to 2 year requirements, and it looks like it's going to have to be at the 8.8 to be realistic, unfortunately.
And Councillor Hodge-Reeves.
The same when I read it, and I thought, wow, that meeting that went on for 3 hours, we netted $1,200. So, and then to look at it that, you know, there's still $55,000 that hadn't even been identified to bring that down by percentage. So I applaud the many hours that you guys have been hanging out together, and appreciate it, but it's a tough one it's difficult, but otherwise everything is just getting more expensive. If we bought a grader 5 years ago, we'd be laughing, but you know, $500,000 now for a grader, and everything goes up. And if we don't save for the future, and our discussions last time about this building and, you know, the equipment, well, it's all shiny and new, but if we don't plan for it, it's gonna be junk, and then we have no money to replace it, and then you have no one coming, and then you lose your revenue. So it's difficult, but I'm hoping next year's budget will be more it won't be such a large increase, because everything will be covered, and, you know, magically MPAC will unfreeze everything and away we go. The provincial government will re-upload everything, and everything will be great.
I'll just leave it at that.
That's what we're hoping for.
Yeah.
But I'm
And-
not making light. It is
No.
an uncomfortable budget, but otherwise it's gonna hurt it'll never get easier. It's never gonna get easier.
Okay, thank you. And yes, I guess maybe I do send my apologies to staff, because I was the one that asked for the 7.9, and then when it came in and I'm seeing we still need to find the over $50,000, it's like, oh, man, it's tough, but I think by the sounds of it, we're all in agreement on that. So we won't make the recommendation yet, because we still have the the water and wastewater, the Trent View Estates to go through, and then we'll do it all together. So go ahead, Jordan.
Thank you, through you, Deputy Mayor. Do you want me to give you something to think about while I'm presenting this? So the 8.8% number is the number that's presented as part of the 1 to 2 year requirements.
Yes.
But what you saw in the 7.9% scenario has reductions in some of the other future purchase requirements, so
Mhm.
we'll need some sort of direction on if it's going to be that particular number, and if you want me to go through what that looks like for the,
If it's going to be the 7.9,
no, if it was going to be the 8, so the
If it-
8.8 is part of the 1 to 2 year requirement number.
yes,
Is that where the 8.8 came from?
that's where the 8.8 is coming from.
Okay, so then there's some 3 to
so
5
then
year
the-
requirements
The
that,
3 to 5 years is, okay,
yeah,
well, yeah.
so
if you
there'll
wanna-
be some
There'll be some,
potential reductions
Okay.
in that. I could potentially
yes, if
try and
you
quickly
talk about that first before
everybody
we go on to the water, then yeah, that's fine. Yeah,
Is that-
go ahead.
clear. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
I don't know that I do, but just keep
Yeah,
going.
if it's smooth. Yeah.
Okay, so this one's quite simple. So there's no changes from the last draft that was presented. The rates remain the same. The only thing we're currently investigating still is the costing as part of the SCADA system upgrade for the wastewater department. But we do have a transfer to reserve amount, placeholder amount in the budget currently, and we don't expect the costing will exceed that transfer to reserve amount. So it would be an offset where essentially
Okay,
it's 1 for 1. Adam isn't present, but he has had a look at the budgets again and attempted to try to find savings, but this is essentially the budget that reflects the needs of the department from a capital standpoint and an operating standpoint.
okay. So are there any questions for Jordan on that part of the budget? It hasn't changed a lot, but just good to keep that in mind that may need to happen.
Yep, and just it aligns with our water and wastewater
Okay.
study and recommendations
Yep.
too for percentage increases. So I think there is some backing there for us.
Okay. Are there any other questions, comments for staff or conversation that needs to happen before we move forward with the recommendation in R6? Go ahead, Councilor Wall.
I think just a comment to say thank you very much. I know it's been a long tedious process. I think it's a very much improved process from last year. We learn and get better every year that we do this, but certainly appreciate all the work that all of you have done in getting to this point. We would like to say it's only going to be 2%, but the reality is escalating costs are coming all the time. More downloading, we look at, we've got ineligible sources that was going to have to deal with this year. Our police budget was close to $1 million, so we really don't have any control over insurance rates. Not as high this year, but they were up, but do really appreciate all the work you've all done. I know we probably had thrown some tough questions at you, and nothing's personal. It's just a matter of trying to find the best fit for all our taxpayers. So do thank all of you, each of you individually and as a group, for all the work you've done on this year's budget.
Thank you. And before we make this recommendation, just so you know, county has not passed the budget, but right now we're sitting at 3.93. And I don't think that will come down any because most of the increase came from shared services, which we really don't have a lot of control over and from the city. So just so you have an awareness of where that's sitting. Yeah, not a tough budget, but the process was fantastic. So it was stellar process this year. Any other questions, comments? Okay, I will read the recommendation and I will throw the number in that I think we've agreed on. And if we want to change that, we can do that at the time. So recommendation, the Council of the Township of Asphodel-Norwood accepts this report regarding the third draft of the 2026 municipal operating and capital budget. And further, that the Council of the Township of Asphodel-Norwood directs staff to prepare a notice of intention to adopt the 2026 municipal operating and capital budget, reflecting a tax rate increase of, they say it real fast, we won't notice, 8.8% at the December 9th, 2025 meeting of council. And further, that the Council of the Township of Asphodel-Norwood directs staff to include the notice of intention for the proposed adoption of the 2026 water, wastewater, and Trentview Estates water distribution budgets at the rate adjustments outlined or as otherwise directed from council. Is there any other conversation, questions in regards to the motion? Okay. Do we have a mover? Moved by Councillor Walsh, seconded by Councillor Hodge-Greaves, all in favor. Okay. Done. Very good. Okay, moving on. C8 correspondence for action. And that is the letters from Peterborough County and Township of Selwyn.
Support.
Support. Seconder, Councillor Hodge-Greaves, all in favor. Thank you. C9, the OPP Detachment Board, the board budget. And Councillor Mayor Wilford, do you have anything, do you want to speak about that, or it's fairly straightforward in the report? Let's see. We may be disconnected.
It's fairly straightforward, Lori.
Hollywood, they have the show business. Here we have the show business.
Okay, he's off. Motion to support or receive?
This one's just a motion to receive.
Okay, oh, sorry.
Forgive me, through Deputy Mayor, I think they're looking for an actual motion that we as council approve as presented.
Oh, approve the budget as
To
presented.
receive
Okay.
And receive it, so I have no problem. Motion to receive and support.
Okay, and seconder, Councillor Ward, all in favor? Motion is carried. Councillor liaison reports. Who would like to go first? Councillor Walsh.
We had our business advisory committee meeting last evening, where we actually thanks to Melanie, we done a survey, of all the market, on the market, from both vendors that participated, which I think finite numbers was in the neighborhood of 12, 13 different vendors, and we had 9 that, responded, which is positive, and we had over 60 people from the public, so we also sent a survey of the public, so again, kudos residents, we're very active in surveys, which is awesome. So some good learnings coming out of it. I think bottom line as we went through and looked at it is definitely was a very positive response to the market. The plan is to continue it in 2026, potentially adding one evening to the market. So either a Wednesday or Thursday night to the market, depending on the availability of vendors. And I think potentially other changes. The 4 that are on Saturdays, we may switch up and do a couple on long weekends and a couple that are not. Just to kind of get a sense of which is better there. The group last night, we had about $1,800 left over from our budget, and we motioned to try and secure that again next year. The plan is to actually hire a market manager. The feeling is we need somebody to manage this outside of a volunteer group, and I've kind of roughly thrown some numbers by Lori, who is a vendor participant, just to get a sense of probably somewhere around maybe 60 hours to daily manage the market for the summer. And we feel we need to hire somebody to kind of manage it on our behalf. So that was kind of the other big news coming out of it. Mike had asked to share Peterborough Economic Development and the Regional Tourism 08, which is our zone, a sign program that can be utilized here in the village. And that was certainly welcome last night by the group that we definitely would like to participate in that. The challenge is becoming, where do we find that one key location in town to put it? And Mike has also asked that we have one put in Westwood if at all possible, even if it's a smaller sized one, but at least we have recognition of it. And what it would be is they're about 8 feet tall. They're about 40 inches wide by about 60 inches tall. It would have a map, and then at the bottom it would be designed by our township of what would be the top 4 or 5 big events that make us don't know who we are. So that's very positive. Sean, who's our chair, has agreed to join the showcase group as well. And I did share with the group last night that we have put out an advertisement for a new member as well. So waiting on results. And that was it. Good meeting.
Good. Councillor.
Thank you to you, Deputy Mayor. Just reporting on our last Peter Robinson event was the Irish Kaylee held on November 18th. We were sold out, and I think everyone enjoyed the evening. it was a fun evening and lots of positive feedback. The Cultural and Heritage have one more event with the Asphodel-Norwood Library that we are co-hosting on December 4th. It's a family craft night, and I was informed by the Trish from the library that it is also at capacity. It's sold out as well. So those are two great things.
Good, thank you. Councilor Hodge-Reeves, anything tonight?
I had my meeting prior to the other, but just a reminder about the night market that's on Saturday and the Santa Claus Parade in conjunction with the Legion, and the library is providing activities as well and the vendors. So just, yeah, we should be, I unfortunately not here, but I think it'll be a great event.
Okay, thank you. And yes, we had our library meeting last week. And yeah, just a bit of a change at the library for the night market. There won't be vendors there, but there will be kids' activities and crafts at the library. And then the library is also in the parade as well. And bit of a change. Normally we had a float and spent hours decorating it, and it was a lot of work. So we changed it up this year. We'll have a banner and little wagons that the volunteers are pulling with coloring books to hand out to the kids. So we changed it up a little bit. So it should go well. And that's everything for me. That's nothing. General business. Councillor War.
Yes. It's just the proposed changes to conservation authorities, 36 conservation authorities into 7 new regional authorities. And I noticed that the proposal is now open for public comment. And so I thought perhaps staff or anybody that wants to put forward some comments, because it will impact how the watershed programs run and all of those things that go on with that, the programming and services and decision making and how they're delivered. And so I think it's a good time if anyone has the opportunity to do a comment. I could send that off to Melanie if she wants to do a link to anyone. If you anyways, I just thought I'd bring that up.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Walton.
And it was actually, this came out of the Peterborough County minutes earlier in our meeting. Rhonda Keaton did come to the county and talked about their GROW program, and definitely would love to hear it here at our in our township. So I'm wondering if we can direct Melanie to send an invite to Rhonda to ask her if she could come forward to a future council meeting and walk us through the GROW program and just in general what's going on with the economic development group.
Do you need a motion for that, Melanie?
Please.
Okay.
Okay, so I will motion that.
And seconder, Councillor Hodge-Reeves, all in favor? Okay, thank you. Anything else?
And then
Oh, yeah.
the
So
other-
we've got, I have a couple things, well, one thing, and then we can discuss the extra meeting. So the other day, I saw a headline and then I followed the link and listened to a podcast. And just for everyone's information, I think we need to be proactive in this. The Alderville First Nations Chief Tanner Simpson and their band has just made, or through the legal process, Rice Lake is now considered a legal personhood. And I know this sounds odd. It's the second water body in Canada to have that. The other one is Magpie River in Quebec. And basically what it does is it offers protections and cleanups, obviously that would affect regulations. And in the podcast, it will affect all 3 levels of government. And doesn't really change regulations, but it looks like it will change levels of enforcements and protections for pollution, fish stocks, invasive species, all of those things. Anyway, it's fairly new. They've just announced it. And what the chief is hoping for, that all of the parties come together and there'll be an overseer board, which might tie in also with conservation authorities. But seeing as some of our property is on the lake, some of it's the river, and the Ooze River kind of divides those. We are in the bottom end of the lake. I think it's important that we, whenever the discussions start, that we're at the table. So I would like to make a motion just to direct staff to reach out to the Alderville First Nations and Chief Simpson and to invite him as a delegation to council for further information discussion. Councillor Moore?
Well, I would second that motion, but
Okay.
I also have a comment.
Okay, sorry.
You can't make them.
Oh, I can't make them. I I'm sorry, I'm so used to making motions. Okay, I will not make the motion. I've given the information. I'll drop it there. Thank you, clerk. I forget. Okay, thank you.
Thank you for you, Deputy Mayor Burt. I would make the motion.
Okay.
That was just presented.
Okay, is there a seconder? Okay, and then discussion on the
Yeah.
motion.
And thank
Go
you,
ahead.
through you, I did get a chance to, listen to that podcast as well. And, you know, I think it's a great way to interact because we just talked about phragmites and all those things that are problematic with, you know, invasive species. And we know that they're coming down the Trans-Savarin. And so, you know, I think that having a voice at the table and being collaborative and inviting, you know, that participation from around the lake, and it does affect our watershed. So yeah, you're right, it could be orca as well, so that's my comment.
Okay, any other comments? Okay, all in favor of the motion? Okay, and then, our other, under general business about the extra meeting, kind of discussed it at the start, and maybe I'll pass this on to Melanie for your thoughts, because it is going to be a huge meeting. And I don't know where staff lands on this, because yes, it is an extra meeting. Do we want to go, you know, from 1 to 6, or do we want to split that up? And honestly, it doesn't matter to me, but just from council perspective and staff perspective. And then I'll leave it there and somebody can make a motion if we need to change it. Yes,
Through you, Deputy Mayor Burt, just 2 questions.
okay.
When Carrie had reached out, it was the potential of that delegation was hindering on how it went at county council.
Oh, no.
So that it's coming.
It will definitely come, and it will not be a short discussion, I don't think, so.
And is there any hurry on the county's end that it be in December? Is there a request for that date? I don't know, but does it have to be this year?
Yeah, probably, yes. I think they want to get input from the lower tiers as soon as they can, so yes. So, discussion,
Personally, for me, if it's a longer meeting, it's a longer meeting. I'm here, we're just trying to come twice. That's just personally for me.
Okay, and Councillor Hodges would be away on the 16th or whatever the date.
No,
is.
I'm back on the 8th.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so. If a longer, I struggle, I see the point of longer meetings. I do find we do get mid-meeting fatigue. Sometimes because it's especially if it's something that is. I understand we're here, I don't know, whatever's best for staff, I'm fine to stay. If a longer meeting is what is best. However, I do find sometimes it can get exhausting and we don't want to give the second half of the meeting less attention than the first half.
Yep.
That is sometimes a concern with, especially if the topics are quite different, so. I don't have a strong opinion, but I think, yeah, so. Whatever staff is more comfortable with.
Councillor Gore.
I'm good with, whatever is,
Take a poll of the staff out in the crowd. And honestly, like I say, it's a big one. It's up to staff. It really doesn't matter. And if it's a long one, we'll take a break in between. So it's up to you guys sitting in and Melanie.
I was just gonna, again, sorry for me getting there, just echo what our CAO had said, that I feel staff will accommodate whatever council wishes as well. I don't mean to throw you back. There's a friendly bunch here.
Just being too kind here. Okay, well,
But I'll jump back in if I could. I do wonder if we're gonna head into vacation the week after.
okay.
That might be a consideration on staff's behalf. I don't know what's out there, but that could be
Could be an issue.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, if nobody's going to make the motion, then we'll just leave it. That's fine. It's just a conversation around the table, so. Okay, we'll leave it. Maybe we'll just plan on, you know, bring a snack or something and have a 10-minute break in between. And that's the end of general business. Nobody else has anything? Closed session, we don't have any. Notice of motion, we don't have any. Bylaws. Any?
Thank you again for you, Deputy Mayor. The confirming bylaw, that the bylaws confirm the proceedings of the regular meeting of council held November 25, 2025. Be read a first, second, and third time in number 2025-52.
Motion, Councillor Moore, seconder, Councillor Hodge-Greaves, all in favor. And you will see your future meeting schedule there, and it did not change, and so motion to adjourn. Councillor Hodge-Greaves, Councillor Walsh, all in favor. Thank you very much. Thank you, everyone. I was gonna say thanks, Pat, but I think he's gone.